The fluorescent lights above Trauma Bay 3 buzz and flicker as the heart monitor flatlines. Blood pools across stainless steel. Dr. Nolan Graves steps back, shaking his head, already writing the death off in his mind. But the man on the table, chest cracked open, ribs spreading like broken wings, isn't done yet. His lips move, a whisper, barely audible over the chaos. Cipher. Every armed guard in the room goes rigid. Hands move to holsters. The air changes, thick, electric, dangerous. And Elena Ward, the nurse they've mocked for 6 months straight, the woman they send for coffee and forgotten paperwork, freezes. Because she knows that name, she knows exactly who this dying man is, and she knows with absolute certainty that he should not be alive. Not here, not now, not ever. Her pulse hammers against her ribs as she stares at his face, older, scarred, half gone, but unmistakable. The room tilts. 12 years collapse into seconds. She thought this part of her life was buried. She thought she was safe. She was wrong. Listen, I need you to stay with me until the very end of this story. If you make it through, drop a comment and tell me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story can travel. Hit subscribe. You're not going to want to miss what happens next. Elena Ward learned a long time ago that silence is a weapon. Not the kind you swing in the heat of battle, but the kind you sharpen in private and carry close. The kind that lets people underestimate you while you memorize every exit, every flaw, every opening. She's been using it for 6 months at Red Ridge Military Medical Center in Denver, Colorado, and so far, it's worked exactly as intended. They think she's nothing. She prefers it that way. The hospital sits on the edge of the city like a steel fortress, gleaming, modern, built to handle the worst trauma cases the military can produce. It's where heroes are stitched back together and where career officers come to die quietly. Elena works the night shift in the trauma wing, third-tier nursing staff, the kind of position that comes with no respect and even less responsibility. She refills IV bags. She logs vitals. She wheels gurneys down long hallways while doctors bark orders at her like she's furniture. Dr. Nolan Graves is the worst of them. Tall, sharp-jawed, Ivy League polished, he runs the trauma department like a kingdom. Every surgery is a performance. Every decision is his to make, his to own, his to take credit for. He has a gift for making people feel small, and he's spent months perfecting it on Elena. Coffee, he says one evening, not even looking up from his tablet. Black? No sugar? Elena doesn't respond. She just nods and walks toward the break room, her scrubs rustling softly. Behind her, she hears one of the younger nurses, Katie maybe, or Jen, whisper to a resident. Why does she even work here? She barely does anything. The resident laughs. Graves keeps her around because she doesn't talk back. Elena keeps walking. Let them think that. Let them believe she's weak, passive, forgettable. It's easier than the truth, because the truth is this. Elena Ward used to have a different name, a different life, a different purpose. And if anyone in this hospital knew what she was capable of, they'd never let her near a patient again. She pours the coffee, brings it back, sets it on Graves' desk without a word. He doesn't say thank you. He never does. The break room becomes her sanctuary during the slow hours. It's a cramped space with flickering fluorescent tubes, a coffee maker that's older than most of the residents, and a bulletin board covered in outdated memos. Elena sits in the corner with her thermos, watching the second hand on the wall clock make its endless circuit. The other nurses avoid her. Not out of malice, exactly. More like indifference. She's the odd one out, the quiet one. The one who doesn't laugh at Graves' jokes or join them for drinks after shift. She's fine with that. What they don't know is that every shift, she's running calculations. Exit routes. Response times. The layout of every floor, every stairwell, every supply closet. Old habits. The kind that kept her alive when bullets were flying, and the only thing between her and a body bag was muscle memory and split-second decisions. Tonight feels different, though. She can't explain it. Just a tightness in her chest, a prickling at the base of her skull. The kind of feeling she used to get right before an ambush. She shakes it off. Paranoia. That's all it is. She's been out of the game for 12 years. There's no reason for that life to find her here. Except she's wrong. At 10:15 p.m., she's restocking supplies in Trauma Bay 2 when she hears Graves in the hallway, talking to someone on his phone. His voice carries that particular edge he gets when he's showing off. No, I'm telling you, the quarterly numbers are up because of my protocols. The board knows it. They're just waiting for the right moment to make it official. Elena rolls her eyes. Graves has been angling for a promotion to chief medical officer for months. Every decision he makes is calculated to look good on paper, regardless of whether it's good for patients. She's halfway through counting gauze pads when the intercom crackles to life. Trauma alert, incoming GSW, ETA 6 minutes. The energy in the department shifts instantly. Residents scramble. Nurses move with practiced urgency. Graves ends his call and strides toward the trauma bay, already barking orders. Elena finishes her count, logs the inventory, and moves to the side. She's not on the primary team for this one. She'll assist if needed, but mostly she'll stay out of the way. That's the role she's carved out for herself. Invisible, unremarkable, safe. The ambulance arrives 4 minutes later, sirens wailing. The paramedics burst through the doors, pushing a gurney at full tilt. The patient is a man in his late 40s, unconscious, his chest wrapped in blood-soaked bandages. One of the paramedics is doing compressions, the other is shouting vitals. GSW to the upper right chest. Entrance wound below the clavicle, no exit. Blood pressure's crashing, 60/40 and dropping. We've got maybe 2 minutes before he codes. Graves is already gowned and gloved, moving into position. Let's get him on this table. I want 2 large-bore IVs, 4 units of O negative on standby, and get me a chest x-ray now. The team swarms the patient. Elena watches from the periphery, her hands clasped behind her back. She's seen this dance 100 times. Graves is good, technically proficient, confident, fast. But he's also arrogant, and arrogance creates blind spots. The patient is transferred onto the trauma table. The paramedics step back. Graves leans in, assessing the wound. Blood is seeping through the gauze in steady pulses. The man's skin is waxy, pale. His breathing is shallow and irregular. Elena's gaze drifts to his face, and her world stops. No, it can't be. But it is. She knows this man, not from the hospital, not from Denver, from before. From a life she buried so deep she convinced herself it was gone. His name is Daniel Cross, Sergeant Daniel Cross. 12 years ago, he was part of a joint special operations task force deployed to a region that doesn't exist on any map. A place where the rules were different and the cost of failure was measured in body bags. Elena was there too. Different name, different rank, same nightmare. The mission that destroyed everything. Her hands start to shake. She clenches them into fists, forcing herself to breathe. No one can know. No one can see. She's Elena Ward, third-tier nurse, invisible and unremarkable. She is not Cipher. Not anymore. But Cross is here, which means the past isn't buried. It's breathing, and it's bleeding out on the table in front of her. Graves is working quickly, his hands moving with the kind of practiced precision that comes from years of trauma surgery. He's packing the wound, trying to control the bleeding, but it's not working. The man's blood pressure continues to drop. The monitor's alarm is a constant shrill wail. "Damn it," Graves mutters. "I need better visualization. Somebody get me a rib spreader." One of the residents hands him the instrument. Graves positions it, begins to crank. The patient's ribs spread with a sickening crack. Blood wells up, obscuring the surgical field. Elena watches. She sees the problem immediately. The bullet entered high, just below the right clavicle. From the angle and the bleeding pattern, it likely tore through the subclavian artery. Graves is trying to clamp it, but he's coming at it from the wrong side. The anatomy is tricky there. Vessels, nerves, and muscles all packed tight. He's missing the artery by millimeters, and every second he wastes is another 100 milliliters of blood loss. She should stay quiet. It's not her place. She's just a nurse. But Cross is dying, and she knows exactly how to save him. Her feet move before her brain catches up. She steps forward, closer to the table. "You're too lateral," she says. Her voice is calm, clinical, cutting through the chaos like a scalpel. The room goes still. Every head turns. Graves doesn't even look at her. "Excuse me?" "The subclavian artery," Elena continues, her eyes on the wound. "You're approaching it from the wrong angle. You need to go posterior, under the clavicle. Retract the pectoralis major and come in from below." Graves' jaw tightens. He still doesn't look at her. I didn't ask for your opinion. No, Elena says, but he's going to die if you don't listen. Now Graves looks at her. His eyes are cold, his expression a mixture of disbelief and fury. Step back. You're losing him. I said step back. Doctor, his pressure's dropping, one of the nurses interjects, her voice tight. Systolic's down to 50. Graves curses under his breath, refocusing on the wound. His hands move faster, but not smarter. He's still in the wrong place, still missing the artery. Elena's pulse hammers in her ears. She can see it so clearly, the torn vessel, the pooling blood, the seconds ticking away. This is a repair she's done before. Not in a sterile OR with a full surgical team. In the field, under fire, with nothing but a headlamp, a field kit, and sheer desperation. She saved Cross once before. She can do it again, but she has to move. Now. Let me work, she says, her voice dropping into a tone she hasn't used in over a decade. Command. Authority. The voice of someone who's held a man's heart in her hands and refused to let it stop. Graves finally straightens, glaring at her. You're a nurse. I know. You don't have the training for this. Yes, Elena says quietly. I do. Graves's face flushes red. If you don't step back right now, I will have you removed from this hospital, permanently. For a moment, Elena almost backs down. Almost. Because this is the life she chose, the quiet life, the invisible life, the safe life. But then Cross moves. His hand lifts off the table, trembling, weak. His fingers reach toward her. His eyes flutter open, barely, and his lips move. Blood bubbles at the corner of his mouth. Let Cipher work. The words hit the room like a grenade. Every person freezes. The nurses, the residents, the security guard standing by the door. Graves stares at Cross. Then at Elena. What did he just say? Elena doesn't answer. She steps up to the table, grabbing a pair of gloves from the tray. She doesn't ask for permission. She doesn't wait for approval. She just moves. Her hands are steady as she pulls on the gloves. Muscle memory takes over. She's done this 1,000 times. The chaos around her fades into background noise. The monitors, the alarms, the people, all of it disappears. There's only the wound, only the work. She adjusts the retractor, shifting the angle. Her fingers find the edges of the torn muscle, spreading them carefully. The subclavian artery is right there, pulsing weakly, torn along a 2-centimeter section. Graves was close, but close doesn't save lives. Clamp, she says. No one moves. Clamp, she repeats, sharper this time. One of the nurses hands it to her, her eyes wide. Elena positions the clamp with precision, isolating the artery above and below the tear. The bleeding slows. Not stopped, but controlled. She can work with this. 4-0 proline curved needle. The nurse hands her the suture. Elena threads it, her movements fluid and exact. She doesn't think. She just does. 1 stitch, 2, 3. Each one placed with the kind of precision that comes from knowing that a single mistake means death. The torn edges of the artery come together. The bleeding stops. She ties off the suture, cuts the thread, and steps back. The monitor stabilizes. The alarm stops. Cross's blood pressure starts to climb, slowly, but it's climbing. Elena strips off her gloves, tossing them into the bin. She looks at Graves. He'll live. Graves stares at her like she's something he's never seen before. His mouth opens, closes. No words come out. Around the room, the staff stands frozen. No one speaks. No one moves. And then the door to the trauma bay swings open. A man in a dark suit steps inside, flanked by 2 others. They're not hospital staff. They're not doctors. They're something else entirely. The lead man holds up a badge, Federal, black and gold, Department of Defense. Nurse Ward, he says. His voice is flat, professional. We need to speak with you. Elena's stomach drops, but her face stays neutral. About what? The agent's eyes flicked across, still unconscious on the table, then back to Elena. About Cipher. The air in the room shifts, thickens. Graves looks between Elena and the agents, confusion twisting into something sharper, something dangerous. Wait, Graves says. What's going on here? The agent ignores him. Miss Ward, we need you to come with us. Now. Elena doesn't move. I'm not going anywhere until someone tells me why Sergeant Cross is in my hospital with a bullet in his chest. The agent's expression doesn't change. He was targeted. Assassination attempt. We have reason to believe the shooter is still active. Graves steps forward, his voice rising. Hold on. You're telling me someone tried to kill a patient in my trauma bay? Yes. And you think she's involved? Graves jabs a finger at Elena. No, the agent says. We think she's the only one who can stop it from happening again. Elena closes her eyes. 12 years. She walked away. She buried Cipher. She became no one. And now it's all coming back. Who is she? Graves demands, his voice cracking with anger and confusion. The agent looks at him for the first time. Classified. That's not good enough. It's all you're getting. Graves turns on Elena, his face flushed. I want an explanation. Right now. Who the hell are you? Elena meets his gaze. For 6 months, she's let him talk down to her, let him dismiss her, let him treat her like she was less than nothing, not anymore. You want an explanation, she says quietly. Fine. My name is Elena Ward. I'm a registered nurse, certified in critical care and emergency trauma. I'm also a former Special Operations Combat Medic with the 75th Ranger Regiment Medical Detachment. My operational call sign was Cipher. I served in 3 classified theaters over a span of 5 years. I have more field trauma experience than everyone in this room combined. And the man on that table? She nods toward Cross. I saved his life once before, 12 years ago, in a place you'll never read about in any briefing. The room is so quiet you can hear the ventilator hiss. Graves stares at her, his face going from red to white. You're lying. Elena doesn't blink. Am I? One of the agents steps forward, his hand moving subtly toward the sidearm at his hip. Not a threat, just a reminder of who's in control. Dr. Graves, the lead agent says, his tone leaving no room for argument. We need this room cleared, immediately. Graves's mouth opens, closes. His pride is a living, breathing thing, and it's just been gutted in front of his entire staff. But when a federal agent tells you to move, you move. This isn't over, Graves says, his voice tight. Yeah, Elena says softly. It is. Graves shoots her one last look, fury, disbelief, something almost like fear, and walks out. The other staff follow, whispering to each other, glancing back at Elena like she's become someone else entirely. The door swings shut. Elena is alone with the agents and Cross. She turns to the lead agent. Start talking. The agent pulls out a tablet, swiping through files. 3 days ago, Sergeant Cross contacted us through a back channel. He said he had actionable intelligence regarding a compromised operation from 2014, a joint task force mission in the Condris Valley. Elena's blood runs cold. That mission was scrubbed. The records were sealed. Everyone involved is listed as KIA or discharged. Not everyone, the agent says. He turns the tablet toward her. On the screen is a photograph. A man in uniform, older now, graying at the temples, but the face is unmistakable. Lieutenant Marcus Vance. Elena's hands ball into fists. Her voice comes out rough, barely controlled. He's dead. I watched him die. You watched him disappear, the agent corrects. There's a difference. Elena's mind races. Vance was her commanding officer. The mission was supposed to be a quick extraction. Get in, pull out a high-value target, get out. But it went sideways. Ambush, 16 operators down in the first 30 seconds. She spent the next 4 hours dragging wounded men through hostile territory while the world exploded around her. Vance was listed as KYA. Body never recovered. But if he's alive, He sold us out, Elena breathes. He set us up. The agent nods. We believe Lieutenant Vance provided enemy forces with your mission parameters in exchange for safe passage and a substantial payout. He's been operating under assumed identities for the past 12 years. And now we believe he's here, in Denver. Why? Because Sergeant Cross was part of that mission. And so were you. If Vance is eliminating loose ends, you're both targets. Elena looks at Cross, still unconscious, still fragile. Then why save him? Why not just let him bleed out? The agent's expression hardens. Because Vance doesn't just want you dead. He wants you discredited, broken. He wants to make sure that if you ever try to tell the truth about what happened, no one will believe you. Elena's jaw tightens. She can feel the old anger rising, the kind she spent 12 years trying to bury. So what do you need from me? We need you to do what you do best. Stay close to Cross. Keep him alive. And when Vance makes his move, I'll be ready. The agent nods. Good. Because we have reason to believe he's already inside the hospital. The words hang in the air for a moment. Then the lights flicker. Elena's head snaps up. The fluorescent tubes overhead buzz, dim, flicker again. The monitors in the trauma bay glitch for a split second, just long enough to notice. And then the alarms start. Not just in the trauma bay. Everywhere. The entire hospital erupts in chaos. Code alerts blaring over the intercom. Staff running, shouts echoing from distant hallways. Elena sprints to the door, yanking it open. Smoke is pouring into the corridor from somewhere below. Thick, acrid. Not electrical, chemical. What the hell? The building shakes. A deep, bone-rattling boom from the lower levels. The floor tilts. Windows shatter. The lights go out completely for 3 seconds, and when they come back on, they're dim, running on backup power. Screams, dozens of them, coming from the parking structure beneath the hospital. The agent grabs Elena's arm. We need to move Cross, now. But Elena is already moving, not toward Cross, toward the smoke, toward the chaos. Because she knows exactly what this is. This isn't an accident. This isn't a malfunction. This is a siege. And Vance just made his opening move. She runs down the hallway, her scrubs swishing, her boots pounding against the tile. Other staff members are running too, some toward the emergency, some away from it. She weaves through them, her mind already shifting gears. She's not a nurse anymore. Not in this moment. She's a combat medic. And combat medics run toward the fire. The stairwell door is propped open, smoke billowing out. She grabs the railing and descends 3 steps at a time. The smoke gets thicker. Her eyes water. She pulls her scrub top up over her nose and mouth, keeps moving. The explosion came from the parking garage. Level B2, if she's reading the sound right. That's where the ambulances park, where the emergency staff lots are. Maximum casualties if you want to cripple a hospital's response capability. Vance would know that. He was trained the same way she was. She hits the ground floor and bursts through the door into the main corridor. People are scattered everywhere. Patients in wheelchairs, nurses trying to organize evacuations, doctors shouting orders that no one can hear over the alarm. The emergency lighting casts everything in a sickly yellow glow. Elena scans the chaos, looking for the triage point. She finds it near the entrance to the parking garage, a makeshift setup where 3 nurses are trying to assess a flood of incoming wounded. Burn victims. Blast injuries. People covered in dust and blood. She moves toward them, but someone grabs her shoulder. It's Katie, one of the younger nurses from the trauma wing. Her face is streaked with soot, her eyes wide with panic. Elena, oh my God, what's happening? Explosion in the garage, Elena says, her voice steady. How many casualties? I don't know, 20, maybe more. The ambulance bay is destroyed. We can't get anyone out. Elena nods, her mind already running the numbers. 20 wounded, limited resources, no evac. This is triage in a war zone. She's done this before. Listen to me, she says, gripping Katie's shoulders. I need you to get every available gurney and wheelchair down here. Set up 3 zones, green, yellow, red. Walking wounded, go green. Serious but stable, go yellow. Critical, go red. Got it? Katie blinks, her panic giving way to focus. Got it. Go, now. Katie runs. Elena turns to the nurses at the triage point. Who's in charge? One of them, an older woman named Sandra, looks up. No one. Dr. Graves is upstairs, and we can't reach him. I'm in charge now, Elena says. How many red tags? Sandra hesitates. Elena, you're not... How many? 5. Maybe 6. Where are they? Sandra points toward a cluster of people lying on the floor near the garage entrance. Elena moves toward them, dropping to her knees beside the first one. A man in his 30s, security uniform, left leg mangled below the knee. Arterial bleeding. She can see the femoral pulse spraying with every heartbeat. She doesn't have a tourniquet. She doesn't have a med kit. She has her hands. She rips a strip of fabric from the man's pant leg, loops it above the wound, and ties it tight. The bleeding slows. Not stopped, but controlled. She moves to the next patient. A woman, early 20s, nurse's scrubs, chest trauma, rapid shallow breathing, probable pneumothorax. Her lung is collapsing. Elena leans close, listening to the breath sounds. Absent on the left side. She needs to decompress the chest. Needs a needle, a catheter, something. She looks around, finds a supply cart overturned nearby. She digs through it, finds a 14-gauge IV catheter. It'll have to do. She positions the catheter between the woman's ribs, just below the collarbone, and pushes. There's resistance, then a pop. Air hisses out. The woman gasps, her breathing easing almost immediately. Elena moves to the next patient, and the next. She works without thinking, without stopping. Her hands are covered in blood. Her scrubs are soaked. But she doesn't feel it. She's in the zone, the place where time slows and every movement is automatic. This is what she was made for. 10 minutes pass. Maybe 15. She's lost count. She's stabilized 4 critical patients, triaged a dozen more. Other nurses have started to follow her lead, setting up the zones she ordered, moving patients efficiently. And then she hears it. A voice, calm, cold, coming from the direction of the parking garage. Elena. She freezes. She knows that voice. She hasn't heard it in 12 years, but she knows it. She stands slowly, turning toward the garage entrance. A figure steps out of the smoke. Tall, lean, moving with the kind of controlled precision that only comes from military training. Lieutenant Marcus Vance. He's older. Harder. But it's him. He's holding a gun. "Hello, Cipher," he says. "Miss me." Elena's heart slams against her ribs, but her face stays calm. Around her, the other nurses are backing away, fear rippling through the crowd. Vance doesn't look at them. His eyes are locked on Elena. "You should have stayed hidden," he says. "You were good at it, but you just couldn't help yourself, could you? Had to play hero, had to save Cross." Elena doesn't move. "You set this up. The explosion, the chaos, all of it." Vance smiles. It doesn't reach his eyes. "I needed to draw you out, see if you still had it, and you do. You're still the same girl who pulled 3 men out of a kill zone while I walked away." "You didn't walk away," Elena says quietly. "You ran, like a coward." Vance's smile fades. His finger moves to the trigger, and Elena moves. She doesn't think. She just reacts. 12 years of civilian life fall away in an instant, and what's left is pure instinct. She grabs a metal tray from the supply cart beside her and hurls it at Vance's face. He jerks back, firing wild. The shot goes high, punching into the ceiling. Elena is already closing the distance. She's on him in 2 strides, grabbing his gun hand and twisting. Bone cracks. The gun clatters to the floor. Vance swings at her with his other hand, but she ducks, drives her elbow into his ribs. He grunts, stumbles back. She doesn't give him time to recover. She kicks the gun away, grabs an IV pole from the overturned cart, and swings it like a bat. It connects with Vance's shoulder, sending him sprawling. He hits the ground hard, gasping. Elena stands over him, the IV pole raised, ready to strike again. But she doesn't, because the federal agents are there, guns drawn, surrounding Vance. "Don't move!" the lead agent barks. Vance looks up at Elena, blood trickling from his split lip. "You can't win, Cipher. There are more of us. This doesn't end here." Elena leans down, her voice low and cold. "Yeah, it does." The agents haul Vance to his feet, cuffing him. He's still smiling as they drag him away like he knows something she doesn't. Elena watches him disappear into the smoke, her pulse still racing, her hands still shaking. Around her, the chaos continues. The alarms, the wounded, the smoke. But she's standing, and Vance is in custody. For the first time in 12 years, Elena Ward allows herself to breathe. She turns back to the wounded, ready to keep working, but then she hears it, a sound that makes her blood freeze. A slow, rhythmic beeping, coming from somewhere close. She follows the sound, her eyes scanning the debris. And then she sees it. A device. Wired. Blinking. A secondary explosive. And it's counting down. 15 seconds. 15 seconds. Elena's brain doesn't freeze, it accelerates. Her eyes lock on the device. Crude, but effective. Wired to a cell phone trigger, nestled between chunks of concrete and twisted metal. The LED display blinks red numbers in descending order. 14. She doesn't yell, doesn't waste breath on warnings. She just moves. Her hand shoots out, grabbing the nearest nurse, Sandra, by the arm and spinning her toward the exit. Get them out, now, don't argue, move. Sandra's eyes go wide, but she's been doing this long enough to recognize the tone of someone who knows what death looks like. She starts herding the walking wounded toward the stairs, her voice rising above the chaos. 13. Elena drops to her knees beside the device, her hands already reaching for the wiring. She's done this before. Not in a hospital. In a desert compound outside Kandahar, where a 16-year-old insurgent wired a propane tank to a doorbell and nearly took out half her unit. She talked him down, cut the right wire, walked away with her hands shaking so hard she couldn't hold a pen for an hour. But that was 12 years ago. And this isn't the same setup. 12. The wiring is a mess. Red, black, green, yellow, all tangled together like someone wanted it to look complicated. But Elena knows the trick. The more wires, the simpler the actual mechanism. It's psychological. Make the bomb tech second guess. Make them hesitate. She doesn't hesitate. Her fingers trace the connections. Phone to relay, relay to battery, battery to charge. 11. She needs to disconnect the relay. But which wire? The red one loops back on itself, decoy. The black one runs straight to the battery, primary. The green one. 10. Footsteps behind her, heavy, fast. What the hell are you doing? It's one of the federal agents, the younger one, his gun still drawn. His face is pale. Saving your life, Elena says without looking up. Back up. We need to evacuate. There's no time. Shut up and let me work. 9. Her fingers find the green wire. It's connected to a secondary relay, looped through the phone's charging port. A failsafe. If she cuts the black wire, the green one triggers. If she cuts the green wire first, the black one might hold long enough for the charge to dissipate. Might. 8. She doesn't have tools, no wire cutters, no multi-tool, just her hands. She grabs the green wire, wraps it around her fingers, and pulls. It doesn't budge. 7. Damn it, she mutters. She looks around, frantic. Her eyes land on a shard of glass from a shattered window, half buried in the debris. She grabs it, ignoring the way it cuts into her palm, and saws at the wire. 6. The plastic coating splits. The copper strands underneath glint in the emergency lighting. 5. She pulls again. The wire snaps. The green LED on the relay goes dark. 4. Elena doesn't breathe. She reaches for the black wire, her bloodied hand shaking now. She wraps the glass around it, saws harder. 3. The wire frays. Strands pop one by one. 2. It snaps. The timer stops. 1. The device goes silent. The red numbers freeze on the display. 001. Elena sits back on her heels, her chest heaving. Her hands are shaking so hard she has to clench them into fists to make them stop. Blood drips from her palm where the glass cut her, dark and steady. The agent stares at her. How did you... Training, Elena says, standing. Her legs feel like water, but she forces them to hold. Get a bomb squad down here. There might be more. The agent nods, already reaching for his radio. Elena turns away, wiping her bloody hand on her scrubs. Around her, the chaos is still unfolding. The wounded are being moved upstairs. The smoke is thinning. The alarms are still blaring, but quieter now, like the building itself is starting to breathe again. She should feel relieved. She should feel something, but all she feels is cold, because Vance's words are still echoing in her head. There are more of us. She starts walking back toward the main corridor, her mind racing. If Vance planted a secondary device, he planned for her to find it, planned for her to defuse it, which means it was a distraction. But from what? She's halfway to the stairwell when her radio, hospital-issued, clipped to her waistband, crackles to life. Code Blue, ICU. Code Blue, ICU. All available staff respond. Her stomach drops. The ICU, where Cross is. She runs. The stairwell is packed with evacuees moving down, but Elena shoves her way upstream, taking the steps two at a time. Her lungs burn. Her legs scream. She doesn't care. She hits the third floor and bursts through the door into the ICU wing. The hallway is a disaster. Overturned carts, scattered equipment, nurses running in every direction. The emergency lighting flickers overhead, casting everything in jagged shadows. She finds the ICU coordinator, a sharp-eyed woman named Teresa, standing outside one of the rooms, her face pale. "What happened?" Elena demands. Teresa looks at her, and for the first time since Elena's known her, she looks scared. "It's Cross. Somebody got to him." Elena's blood runs cold. "What do you mean, got to him?" "His IV was tampered with. We don't know what was in it, but he's crashing. We've been trying to stabilize him for the last 3 minutes, but nothing's working." Elena doesn't wait for more. She pushes past Teresa and into the room. Cross is seizing. His body arches off the bed, muscles locked, eyes rolled back. The monitors are going haywire. Heart rate spiking into the 180s, oxygen saturation plummeting. 2 nurses are trying to hold him down, while a resident fumbles with a vial of lorazepam. Elena moves to the bedside, her hands already reaching for the IV line. "Stop! Don't give him that." The resident looks up, startled. "He's seizing." "It's not a seizure," Elena snaps. She rips the IV line out of Cross's arm, fluid spilling across the sheets. The smell hits her immediately. Bitter, acrid, wrong. Organophosphate, nerve agent. Her mind goes into overdrive. Nerve agents cause overstimulation of the parasympathetic nervous system. Muscle contractions, respiratory failure, cardiac arrest. If she doesn't counteract it in the next 60 seconds, Cross is dead. "I need atropine," she says, her voice sharp. 2 milligrams, and pralidoxim. Now. The nurses stare at her. Now! One of them scrambles to the med cart, pulling out vials. Elena grabs a syringe, draws up the atropine, and slams it into Cross's shoulder. Then the pralidoxim. She watches the monitors, counting heartbeats. 10 seconds. 20. Cross's muscles start to relax. The seizing stops. His heart rate drops. 170, 160, 150. His breathing evens out. Elena exhales, her hand still on his arm. He's stable. For now. Teresa steps into the room, her voice shaking. "How did you know?" "Because I've seen it before," Elena says quietly. She looks down at Cross, his face pale and slick with sweat. "Vance used this on a target in Mosul. Same compound, same delivery method." "Vance," Teresa repeats. "The man they arrested downstairs?" "He didn't work alone." Elena straightens, her jaw tight. "Someone else is in this hospital, someone who knows what they're doing." Teresa's face goes even paler. "We need to lock down the building. We need to find them first." Elena turns to leave, but Cross's hand shoots out, grabbing her wrist. She looks down. His eyes are open now, barely but focused, on her. "He's upstairs," Cross whispers, his voice ragged. "Who?" "The surgeon." "Graves." Elena goes still. "What about him?" "He's working with Vance. Always has been." The words hit her like a punch to the gut. She stares at Cross, trying to process what he just said. Graves. The man who spent 6 months making her feel like nothing. The man who runs this department like a tyrant. "You're saying Graves is the inside man?" Cross nods, weakly. "They needed someone in the hospital, someone with access. He's been feeding Vance intel for years." Elena's hands ball into fists. "Where is he now?" "Operating room. Level 5. Elena doesn't wait. She's already moving, out the door, down the hallway. Her mind is spinning, but her body is on autopilot. Every instinct she has is screaming at her to find Graves and end this. She takes the stairs to the 5th floor, her footsteps echoing in the empty stairwell. The operating suites are up here, sterile, controlled, restricted access. If Graves is hiding, this is where he'd go. The hallway is dark. Most of the ORs are shut down for the night, their doors closed and locked, but one is lit, OR 7, at the end of the hall. Elena moves toward it, her pulse hammering. She can see movement through the window, a figure in surgical scrubs. Broad shoulders, tall, Graves. She pushes the door open. He's standing at the scrub sink, washing his hands, calm, methodical, like nothing's wrong. He looks up when she enters, and for a moment, neither of them speaks. Then Graves smiles. You're persistent. I'll give you that. Elena's voice is ice. Cross told me everything. Graves dries his hands, tossing the towel into the bin. Of course he did. Dying men love to talk. You've been working with Vance. Working for him, technically, but yes. Graves leans against the counter, his posture relaxed. You want to know why? Go ahead. Ask. Elena doesn't move. Money! Graves laughs. Money, legacy, power. Take your pick. I'm a good surgeon, Elena, one of the best. But good doesn't get you remembered. It doesn't get you into the history books. Vance offered me something better, a way to build an empire. All I had to do was keep my mouth shut and look the other way. People died because of you. People die every day. That's the job. Graves pushes off the counter, taking a step toward her. You of all people should understand that. You were Cipher, right? The ghost medic. The one who saved lives in places that don't exist. How many people died while you were busy playing hero? Elena's jaw tightens, but she doesn't respond. Graves keeps talking. You think you're better than me because you wore a uniform? Because you followed orders? We're the same, Elena. We both made choices. We both got blood on our hands. No, Elena says quietly. We're not the same. Because I saved people. You sold them out. Graves' smile fades. You sanctimonious. He lunges. But Elena is faster. She sidesteps, grabs his wrist, and twists. Graves grunts, stumbling forward. She drives her knee into his stomach, doubling him over, then shoves him against the counter. He swings at her, wild and clumsy. She blocks, counters with an elbow to his jaw. His head snaps back. Blood sprays from his split lip. He staggers, reaching for something on the counter. A scalpel. Elena sees it coming. She grabs his arm, slams it against the edge of the sink. The scalpel clatters to the floor. She kicks it away, then sweeps his legs out from under him. Graves hits the ground hard, gasping. Elena stands over him, breathing heavy. You're done. Graves laughs, blood bubbling at the corner of his mouth. You think arresting me stops this? Vance has a network. Doctors, nurses, hospital administrators. People you trust. People you work with. You'll never know who's clean and who's bought. Elena's stomach turns. You're lying. Am I? Graves spits blood onto the floor. How do you think we've been operating for 12 years without getting caught? We own this place, Elena. We own you. Before Elena can respond, the door slams open. Federal agents flood the room, guns drawn. The lead agent, the same one from downstairs, moves to Graves, hauling him to his feet and cuffing him. Doctor, Nolan Graves, you're under arrest for conspiracy, attempted murder, and treason. Graves doesn't resist. He just looks at Elena, still smiling. This isn't over. The agents drag him out. Elena stands alone in the OR, her chest heaving, her hands shaking. She should feel victorious. She should feel like she won. But Graves' words won't leave her head. We own this place. She walks out of the OR, back into the hallway. The hospital is quieter now. The alarms have stopped. The smoke has cleared. Staff are starting to return to their posts, moving through the wreckage with the kind of numb efficiency that comes after a crisis. Elena makes her way back to the ICU. Cross is still there, still stable, still alive. She stands in the doorway, watching the monitors, listening to the steady beat of his heart. Teresa appears beside her. They're saying you saved the hospital, stopped the bomb, caught the traitor. Elena doesn't respond. You're a hero, Teresa continues. Elena shakes her head. I'm just tired. Teresa studies her for a moment, then nods. Get some rest. You've earned it. Elena walks to the break room. It's empty now, the lights dim, the coffee maker still running. She pours herself a cup, her hands finally steady, and sits in the corner. She's halfway through the cup when her phone buzzes. A text. Unknown number. She opens it. You stopped one, but there are 6 more. Good luck, Cipher. Her blood runs cold. She stares at the message, reading it again and again. 6 more. She looks up, scanning the empty break room. The hallway beyond, The hospital that's supposed to be safe now. But it's not safe. It never was. Because somewhere in this building, 6 more people are waiting, watching, planning. And they know exactly who she is. Elena's thumb hovers over the screen. She reads the message one more time, then deletes it. The phone goes into her pocket. The coffee goes into the sink untouched. She's already moving. The federal agents are in the administrative wing, setting up a command post. She finds the lead agent, his name is Garrett, she learned somewhere between the bomb and the arrest, standing over a makeshift table covered in laptops and radio equipment. He looks up when she enters. "We have a problem," Elena says. Garrett's expression doesn't change. "Another one?" She shows him her phone. The message is gone, but she recites it from memory. "You stopped one, but there are 6 more. Good luck, Cipher." Garrett goes still. Then he turns to one of his team. "I want a full sweep of every staff member in this building. Cross-reference employment records with known associates of Vance and Graves. Anyone hired in the last 5 years gets flagged." "That's going to be hundreds of people," the other agent says. "Then get started." Elena shakes her head. "That'll take too long. Whoever sent that message wants me to panic, wants me to spread resources thin while they make their move. So what do you suggest?" Elena thinks. 6 more. Not random. Vance operated in cells, small, compartmentalized, need to know. If there are 6 assets still active, they're positioned strategically, high-value targets, critical infrastructure. "They're not all staff," she says. "Some might be patients, visitors, contractors, people who blend in." Garrett's jaw tightens. "You're saying we can't trust anyone?" "I'm saying we need to think like Vance. What's his endgame? He didn't blow up the parking garage just to cause chaos. He wanted something." "Cross," Garrett says. "He wanted Cross dead." "Cross is secondary. Vance doesn't do small. He's building towards something bigger." Garrett stares at her. "What's bigger than killing a federal witness in a military hospital?" Elena's mind races. She thinks about the layout of Red Ridge. The ICU is compromised. The trauma bay is a wreck. The operating suites are locked down. But there's one place they haven't touched yet. "The pharmacy," she says. Garrett frowns. "Why the pharmacy?" "Because it's where the drugs are. Controlled substances. Chemical compounds. If you wanted to stage another attack, something worse than a bomb, you'd need access to pharmaceutical-grade materials." Garrett doesn't waste time arguing. He grabs his radio. "All units, I need eyes on the main pharmacy. Level 2, East Wing. No one goes in or out until we clear it." Elena is already heading for the door. Garrett follows, along with 2 other agents. They move fast, taking the stairs down to the 2nd floor. The hallway is dimmer here, fewer people, less activity. The pharmacy is at the end of the corridor behind a locked steel door with a keypad entry. The door is open. Elena stops. Garrett raises his hand, signaling the others to hold. He draws his weapon, moving forward slowly. Elena stays behind him, unarmed but ready. They reach the door. Garrett peers inside, then steps through. The pharmacy is a disaster. Shelves overturned, vials shattered, pills scattered across the floor like confetti. And in the center of it all, a man in a white lab coat is filling a duffel bag with medication. He looks up when they enter. Young, maybe 30, with nervous eyes and shaking hands. His name tag reads Dr. Aaron Fisk. "Step away from this bag," Garrett orders, his gun trained on Fisk. Fisk doesn't move. "You don't understand. They have my daughter." Elena's stomach sinks. "Who has your daughter?" "I don't know their names. They called me 2 days ago, said if I didn't help them, they'd kill her." Fisk's voice cracks. "I didn't have a choice." Garrett doesn't lower his weapon. "What did they ask you to do?" "Gather specific medications, sedatives, paralytic agents, potassium chloride. Enough to—" He stops, his face going pale. "Enough to stop someone's heart and make it look natural." Elena steps forward. "Who's the target?" "I don't know. They didn't tell me." "Where's your daughter now?" "I don't know. They took her from school yesterday. She's 8 years old. Please, you have to—" Garrett cuts him off. "We'll find her. But right now, I need you to tell me everything they asked for." Fisk lists the medications. Elena listens, her medical training filling in the gaps. The combination he's describing isn't for a quick kill. It's for something prolonged, controlled, the kind of protocol you'd use if you wanted to eliminate someone under medical supervision without raising alarms. Someone in the ICU. They're going after another patient, Elena says. Garrett looks at her. Who? Elena's mind flips through the ICU census. Most of the beds are occupied by post-op cases, recovery patients, nothing high profile. Except one. General Mathis, she breathes. Garrett's eyes widen. The Joint Chiefs Advisor? Elena nods. Mathis was admitted 3 days ago for cardiac monitoring after a minor procedure. Routine, low-key. But if Vance wanted to destabilize military command, taking out a sitting general would do it. Garrett is already on his radio. I need security on ICU bed 12, General Mathis. No one gets near him. The response comes back immediately. Sir, bed 12 is empty. Mathis was transferred 20 minutes ago. Transferred where? Radiology. CT scan. Elena's blood runs cold. That's a kill box. Isolated room. Minimal staff. Easy extraction. Garrett doesn't hesitate. Move. Now. They run. Radiology is on the first floor, tucked into a corner of the building away from the main flow of traffic. The hallway is empty when they arrive. Too empty. Elena can feel it, the wrongness in the air, the kind of silence that comes right before violence. The CT suite door is closed. Garrett signals his team to stack up. Elena stays back, watching the hallway, her instincts screaming. Garrett kicks the door open. Gunfire erupts. Garrett drops, pulling back behind the doorframe as bullets punch through the drywall. One of the agents returns fire. The other moves to flank. Elena stays low, scanning the room through the open door. She can see 2 figures inside, both armed, both wearing hospital scrubs. One is standing over the CT scanner, a syringe in hand. The other is firing at the agents. And on the table, strapped down and sedated, is General Mathis. The agent on the left goes down, hit in the shoulder. He falls hard, his gun skittering across the floor. Elena doesn't think. She moves. She darts into the room, staying low, using the equipment as cover. The shooter swings toward her, but she's already sliding, grabbing the fallen agent's weapon as she goes. She comes up firing. 2 shots, center mass. The shooter drops. The second figure, the one with the syringe, spins toward her. Elena recognizes him. Dr. Paul Hendricks. Cardiology. She's seen him in the break room a dozen times. Quiet, competent, unremarkable. He presses the syringe to Mathis's IV port. Don't, Elena says, her gun steady on him. Hendricks doesn't move. You shoot me, my hand slips. He dies anyway. Then we both lose. I'm already dead. They'll kill me for failing. Hendricks' hand trembles. At least this way it means something. Elena takes a step closer. It doesn't. You're just another body. Another mistake. You think Vance cares about you? He's already in custody. You're working for ghosts. There are more, Hendricks says. You can't stop all of them. Maybe not, but I can stop you. For a moment they stare at each other. Then Hendricks' hand moves. Elena fires. The shot hits him in the shoulder. The syringe falls, clattering to the floor. Hendricks stumbles back, clutching the wound, and Garrett is on him, slamming him against the wall and cuffing him. Elena rushes to Mathis, checking his vitals. His pulse is weak but steady. The sedation is wearing off. He's alive. She exhales, lowering the gun. Her hands are shaking again, but she forces them still. Garrett pulls Hendricks upright. How many more? Hendricks laughs, blood trickling from his mouth. Enough! Garrett slams him against the wall again. Give me names. Go to hell. Elena steps forward. You said they'd kill you for failing. That means you're still afraid of them, which means they're still out there, still watching. She leans in close. But here's the thing. You're in federal custody now, protective detail, isolation. They can't touch you, unless we let them. Hendricks' eyes flicker with fear. Elena presses, give us the names and we'll keep you safe. Stay silent and we'll put you in general population. Let the word slip that you flipped on Vance. See how long you last. Hendricks' resolve cracks. There's a nurse, Angela Price, oncology. She's been moving patients around, isolating the ones Vance wants gone. And there's a hospital board member. Lowell, he's been redirecting funds, covering the operation. That's 2, Garrett says. You said there were 6. I don't know the others. We're compartmentalized. I only know my cell. Garrett hauls him to his feet. Let's go. As they move Hendricks out, Elena stays behind, checking on Mathis one more time. The general's eyes flutter open, groggy and confused. Where? You're safe, Elena says. Just rest. She steps into the hallway. The adrenaline is wearing off, leaving her hollow and exhausted. She leans against the wall, closing her eyes for just a second. Her phone buzzes. Another message. Same unknown number. 4 left. Tick-tock. Elena deletes it. She's about to put the phone away when it buzzes again. Not a text this time. A call. She answers. Who is this? A woman's voice. Cold. Precise. You're impressive, Cipher. I'll give you that. But you're not fast enough. Elena's grip tightens on the phone. Who are you? Someone who's been watching you for a long time. Vance was sloppy. Graves was weak. But I'm neither. And while you've been running around playing hero, I've been setting the real trap. What trap? Check the ICU. Bed 16. The line goes dead. Elena runs. She takes the stairs 3 at a time, her lungs burning. The ICU is 2 floors up. She bursts through the door, sprinting down the hallway. Nurses scatter. Someone shouts her name, but she doesn't stop. Bed 16. She rounds the corner and freezes. The bed is occupied. A woman in her early 30s, unconscious, hooked up to a ventilator. Her face is pale, her breathing assisted by the machine. Elena doesn't recognize her at first. Then she sees the chart clipped to the foot of the bed. Name, Sarah Vance. Her stomach drops. Marcus Vance's daughter. Elena steps closer, her mind racing. This doesn't make sense. Why would Vance's own daughter be here? Why would... The ventilator alarm goes off. Elena's eyes snap to the monitor. Sarah's oxygen saturation is dropping. Fast. 90%. 85. 80. Elena checks the ventilator settings. They've been changed. Someone reduced the oxygen flow, increased the sedation rate. Sarah is being suffocated. Slowly. Elena moves fast, adjusting the settings, increasing the O2. But the numbers aren't climbing. She checks the tubing. It's kinked, deliberately. She straightens it, and the alarm stops. Sarah's saturation starts to rise. 90. 95. Elena steps back, breathing hard. Then she sees it. A note, taped to the IV pole. She pulls it off, unfolds it. You saved her. Now the real game begins. If you want to know who we are, come to the roof. Alone. You have 10 minutes. Elena crumples the note. She knows it's a trap. Knows that whoever sent this wants her isolated, vulnerable. But she also knows that if she doesn't go, people will keep dying. She looks at Sarah, still unconscious, still breathing. Then she walks out. The roof access is through a maintenance stairwell on the 6th floor. The door is unlocked. Elena pushes it open and steps into the cold night air. Denver sprawls below her, a sea of light stretching to the mountains. The wind is sharp, cutting through her scrubs. She walks to the center of the roof, scanning the shadows. I'm here, she calls out. A figure steps from behind an HVAC unit. A woman. Tall, lean, dressed in dark tactical gear. Her face is unfamiliar, but her eyes, cold, calculating, are not. Elena knows that look. She's seen it in the mirror. Who are you? The woman smiles. Captain Olivia Kane, former Delta Force, current freelancer, and the person who's been running this operation since Vance got himself arrested. Elena's hands ball into fists. You're the one pulling the strings. Someone had to. Vance was always too emotional, too attached to the past. But me? I don't care about revenge. I care about results. Kane takes a step closer. You've been a problem, Cipher. A very expensive problem, but I'm willing to make you an offer. I'm not interested. You haven't heard it yet. Kane's smile widens. Walk away. Right now. Leave the hospital. Leave Denver. Disappear like you did 12 years ago, and I'll call off the rest of my team. No more attacks, no more bodies. And if I don't, then I activate the contingency. 4 operatives, 4 simultaneous strikes. The neonatal unit, the blood bank, the surgical wing, and the executive boardroom where the hospital's leadership is currently meeting to discuss the crisis. Kane's eyes glitter. You can't stop all of them. You're good, Cipher, but you're not that good. Elena's mind races. Kane is right. 4 targets, 4 operatives, even with the federal agents, even with security, she can't cover everything, but she doesn't have to. You're bluffing, Elena says. Kane's smile fades. Excuse me? If you had 4 operatives ready to go, you wouldn't be up here talking to me. You'd have already activated them. Which means you're stalling, buying time. Kane's expression hardens. You're wrong. Am I? Elena takes a step closer. You said Vance was too emotional, but you're just as bad. You brought me up here because you wanted to see me, wanted to prove you're smarter. But all you've done is give me time to figure out your weakness. I don't have a weakness. Elena smiles. It's cold, sharp. Yeah, you do. You think you're in control, but you're not. Because I just sent a message to the federal agents downstairs, told them to lock down every exit, seal every floor, and run a thermal scan of this entire building. She pauses. Your 4 operatives, they're already being rounded up. Kane's eyes flicker, just for a second. But it's enough. Elena moves. She closes the distance in 2 strides, throwing a punch at Kane's jaw. Kane blocks, counters with a strike to Elena's ribs. Pain explodes through her side, but she doesn't stop. She grabs Kane's arm, twists, and drives her knee into Kane's stomach. Kane grunts, stumbles back. She reaches for something at her belt, a knife. Elena sees it coming. She sidesteps, grabs Kane's wrist, and slams it against the roof's edge. The knife falls, spinning into the darkness below. They grapple, trading blows. Kane is trained, fast, brutal. But Elena has something Kane doesn't. 12 years of buried rage. She drives her elbow into Kane's face. Bone cracks, blood sprays. Kane falls back, gasping. Elena stands over her, breathing hard. It's over. Kane laughs, spitting blood. You think this is over? You have no idea what's coming. Before Elena can respond, Kane rolls to the side, reaching for something hidden beneath the HVAC unit. A detonator. Elena's heart stops. Kane presses the button, and somewhere below, the world explodes. The explosion tears through the 4th floor with a sound like the earth splitting open. The roof beneath Elena's feet shudders, concrete cracking in spiderweb patterns. She staggers, barely keeping her balance as the shockwave rolls upward through the building's skeleton. Kane is already moving, scrambling toward the roof access door. Blood streams from her broken nose. But she's fast, driven by the kind of adrenaline that comes from knowing you've just burned your last bridge. Elena doesn't chase her, not yet. She runs to the edge of the roof, looking down. Smoke pours from shattered windows on the 4th floor, the surgical wing. Flames lick at the edges of the broken glass. She can hear screams even from up here, thin and distant but unmistakable. Her radio crackles. Garrett's voice, distorted by static and chaos. Elena, do you copy? We have multiple casualties, structure damage, possible collapse in the east wing. I'm on the roof, Elena cuts in. Kane detonated a device. 4th floor, surgical side. Kane? The real operator. She's heading down. Lock the stairwells. Copy that. Elena turns. Kane is gone, the roof access door swinging in the wind. Elena sprints after her, hitting the stairwell at full speed. Her boots hammer against the concrete steps as she descends. 2 floors down, she catches a glimpse of Kane below, moving fast. Elena pushes harder. Her ribs scream where Kane hit her. Her lungs burn. She ignores it all. Kane reaches the 4th floor landing and shoves through the door into the burning wing. Elena follows 3 seconds later, bursting into a nightmare. The hallway is chaos. Smoke thick enough to choke on. Sparks raining from exposed wiring in the ceiling. The sprinkler system is going, but it's not enough. The fire is spreading faster than the water can contain it. Staff are evacuating patients, dragging gurneys through the haze, shouting over the alarms. Elena scans the hallway. No sign of Kane. Then she sees movement at the far end. A figure in tactical gear, slipping through a side door marked Authorized Personnel Only. Elena moves through the smoke, her shirt pulled over her mouth and nose. She reaches the door, yanks it open. It's a service corridor, narrow and dimly lit, running parallel to the main hallway, used by maintenance and supply staff. Empty now, except for Kane, 30 feet ahead, limping slightly. Elena doesn't call out, she just runs. Kane hears her coming, glances back and breaks into a sprint, but the limp slows her down. Elena is gaining. They hit a T-junction. Kane goes right, toward the loading docks. Elena follows, her hand reaching for the gun tucked into her waistband, the one she took from the agent in radiology. Kane rounds a corner. Elena follows, raising the weapon. The corridor ends at a heavy steel door. Kane slams into it, pushing it open, and disappears into the stairwell beyond. Elena reaches the door 5 seconds later. She pulls it open, gun ready. Kane is waiting. She swings a fire extinguisher at Elena's head. Elena ducks, but not fast enough. The metal canister clips her temple, sending a burst of white pain across her vision. She stumbles, the gun slipping from her hand. Kane doesn't wait. She brings the extinguisher down again, aiming for Elena's skull. Elena rolls, the canister smashing into the concrete where her head was a moment before. She kicks out, catching Kane in the knee. Kane grunts, her leg buckling. Elena scrambles to her feet, grabbing the fire extinguisher as Kane drops it. She swings it like a bat, connecting with Kane's ribs. Kane goes down hard, gasping. Elena stands over her, breathing hard. "Stay down." Kane laughs, coughing blood. "You're too late. The surgical wing is gone. Half the staff are dead or dying. And even if you stop me, there are others. This network goes deeper than you can imagine." "Maybe," Elena says, "but I'm starting with you." She reaches for the gun, finds it a few feet away, and picks it up. She aims it at Kane. Kane looks up at her, still smiling through the blood. "You won't shoot. You're one of the good ones. You save lives. You don't take them." Elena's finger tightens on the trigger. For a moment, she almost does it, almost ends it right here. But Kane is right. Elena isn't an executioner. She lowers the gun. "You're not worth it." Kane's smile widens. "I knew you'd—" Elena doesn't let her finish. She drives her boot into Kane's face, and the woman goes limp. Footsteps on the stairs. Garrett appears with 2 agents, weapons drawn. He sees Kane unconscious on the ground, sees Elena standing over her, and nods. "We'll take it from here." Elena steps back, letting the agents cuff Kane and haul her upright. Garrett moves to Elena, his expression grim. "How bad is the surgical wing?" "Bad," Elena says. "We need to evacuate the entire floor. Maybe the one above it, too." "The structure's compromised." Garrett nods, already speaking into his radio. Elena turns and heads back toward the 4th floor, her mind shifting gears. The fire. The wounded. The collapse risk. This isn't over. She re-enters the main hallway. The smoke is thicker now, the heat intense. She can see staff struggling to move patients, some of them coughing so hard they can barely stand. Elena doesn't hesitate. She moves to the nearest gurney, a man in his 60s, post-op, unconscious, and starts pushing. A nurse she doesn't recognize is on the other end, her face streaked with soot. "Stairwell B," Elena shouts over the alarms. "It's clear." The nurse nods, and together they maneuver the gurney down the hallway. Behind them, more staff are following, dragging patients, carrying equipment, moving in the organized chaos of people who've trained for this but never thought they'd actually do it. They reach the stairwell. Elena helps load the gurney onto a backboard so they can carry it down. 2 orderlies take over, and Elena runs back into the smoke. She makes 3 more trips. A woman in her 40s with a shattered pelvis. A teenager with burns across his arms. An elderly man on a ventilator who nearly codes during the evacuation. On the 4th trip, the ceiling collapses. Elena is halfway down the hallway when she hears the groan of stressed metal. She looks up just in time to see a section of the drop ceiling give way, raining tiles and debris. She throws herself forward, rolling under a doorway as chunks of concrete crash down where she was standing. The hallway is blocked now, a pile of rubble cutting off access to the east side of the floor. Elena pushes to her feet, coughing. Her radio is dead, crushed in the fall. She's alone. She hears something, a voice, faint, coming from beyond the rubble. "Help! Somebody help us!" Elena moves to the pile, trying to see through the gaps. She can make out movement on the other side, people trapped. "How many?" she shouts. "4! We can't get through!" Elena scans the debris. The pile is unstable, shifting slightly with every breath. If she tries to climb over, she could bring the whole thing down. But if she doesn't, those people die. She looks around. There's a maintenance closet nearby, door ajar. She runs to it, finds a crowbar and a sledgehammer. She grabs both and runs back to the rubble. She wedges the crowbar under a large piece of concrete, using it as a lever. The slab shifts, just an inch. She does it again. Again. Sweat pours down her face, mixing with the soot and ash. The concrete shifts enough to create a gap. Not big, but maybe enough. "One at a time," she shouts. "Smallest person first." A moment later, a figure appears in the gap. A young resident, barely more than a kid, his eyes wide with terror. Elena reaches through, grabs his hand, and pulls. He squeezes through, scraping his shoulders, tearing his scrubs, but he makes it. "Go," Elena says, pointing toward the stairwell. "Get out." He runs. 3 more people come through the gap, a nurse, an orderly, a patient in a wheelchair who has to be lifted and passed through piece by piece. Elena is pulling the last person, a middle-aged woman with a broken arm, when the pile shifts again. The concrete slab Elena moved starts to slide. She sees it happening, knows what's coming. She shoves the woman toward the stairwell. "Run!" The woman runs. The slab falls. Elena throws herself backward, but not fast enough. The edge of the concrete catches her leg, pinning it against the floor. Pain explodes up her thigh, white-hot and blinding. She bites down on a scream, her vision going black at the edges. She can feel the weight crushing her leg, can feel something grinding that shouldn't be grinding. She tries to pull free, can't. The slab is too heavy. She looks around, frantic. The sledgehammer is a few feet away, just out of reach. She stretches, her fingers brushing the handle. Almost. Almost. She hears footsteps, someone running toward her through the smoke. A figure appears, tall, broad-shouldered, moving with purpose. It's Cross. He's awake, upright, and he looks like hell, pale, sweating, an IV line still dangling from his arm. But he's moving. "Elena," he says, his voice rough. "What are you doing here?" she gasps. "You should be in bed." "Yeah, well." He kneels beside the slab, assessing the situation. "I heard the explosion. Figured you'd be in the middle of it." He grabs the crowbar, wedges it under the slab, and starts to lever it up. The concrete shifts, just enough to ease the pressure on Elena's leg. "When I say go, you pull yourself out," Cross says, his arms shaking with the effort. "You're going to hurt yourself. Shut up and get ready. Go!" Elena pulls. Her leg screams in protest, but she drags herself free. The moment she's clear, Cross drops the crowbar and the slab crashes back down. He collapses beside her, gasping. "You good?" Elena sits up, testing her leg. It hurts like hell, but nothing's broken, just bruised. "I'm good." Cross nods, too tired to say more. They sit there for a moment, surrounded by smoke and fire and wreckage, just breathing. Then Elena gets to her feet, limping but upright. She offers Cross a hand. He takes it, and she pulls him up. "Come on," she says. "We're not done yet." They make it to the stairwell together, Elena leaning on Cross leaning on Elena, both of them barely holding it together. The stairs feel endless, but they take them one at a time, descending into the noise and chaos below. When they reach the ground floor, the scene is organized pandemonium. Triage areas set up in the parking lot. Ambulances lined up, loading the wounded. Federal agents everywhere, coordinating with hospital security. Garrett sees them and jogs over. "You're alive." "Barely," Elena says. "Kane's in custody. We're sweeping the building for any remaining operatives. So far, we've rounded up 2 more, Angela Price and a contractor named Simmons, still looking for the 4th. "Lowell," Elena says, "the board member. Already picked him up. He was trying to leave the city. We found enough evidence in his office to bury him for the next 20 years. Elena nods, too exhausted to feel relief. "What about the hospital?" "Structural engineers are assessing the damage. 4th floor is a total loss. 5th floor is compromised. We're evacuating everyone to other facilities." "Casualties?" Garrett hesitates. 12 dead, 34 wounded. Could have been a lot worse. Elena closes her eyes. 12 people. 12 families who'll get a call tonight. 12 lives that ended because she wasn't fast enough. "Hey," Cross's voice, quiet but firm. "You saved 100 more. Don't forget that." She opens her eyes, looks at him. Doesn't make it easier. No, Cross agrees. It doesn't. Garrett's radio crackles. He listens, then looks at Elena. They want you upstairs. The hospital's CEO and the board. They're convening an emergency meeting. Elena frowns. Why? Because half the staff saw what you did tonight, and they want answers. Elena doesn't want to go. She wants to sit down, close her eyes, and not think about any of this for at least 12 hours. But she knows that's not an option. She limps toward the elevator, Cross following. Garrett stays behind to coordinate the federal response. The elevator ride to the executive floor is silent. Elena watches the numbers climb, her reflection in the polished steel doors looking back at her, filthy, bloodied, exhausted. The doors open. The executive conference room is full. The CEO, a thin, severe woman named Margaret Hollins, sits at the head of the table. Around her are the remaining board members, the chief of staff, the head of nursing, and a handful of others Elena doesn't recognize. And standing in the corner, flanked by 2 federal marshals, is Nolan Graves. Elena stops in the doorway. What is he doing here? Hollins stands. Dr. Graves requested to be present. Given his role in tonight's events, we felt it was appropriate. His role was treason, Elena says flatly. We're aware, Hollins replies. But before he's transferred to federal custody, he's asked to make a statement. Elena's jaw tightens, but she steps into the room. Cross follows, taking a seat near the door. Graves looks at her, and for the first time since she's known him, he doesn't look arrogant. He looks broken. I want to apologize, he begins, his voice quiet. To the staff, to the patients, to you, Elena. Elena says nothing. Graves continues. I told myself I was doing the right thing, that the money would help me build something better, that the ends justified the means. But I was lying to myself. I was just greedy, and people died because of it. Hollins leans forward. Dr. Graves has agreed to cooperate fully with the federal investigation. He's provided names, financial records, communication logs, everything. Good for him, Elena says. Doesn't change what he did. Graves meets her eyes. I know. And I'll spend the rest of my life regretting it. But for what it's worth, you were right. About everything. You're a better doctor than I'll ever be. Elena stares at him. Part of her wants to tell him to go to hell. Part of her just feels tired. You're not a doctor anymore, she says finally. You're a criminal, and that's all you'll ever be. Graves looks away. The marshals step forward, taking him by the arms. He doesn't resist as they lead him out. When the door closes, Hollins turns to Elena. We owe you an explanation and an apology. Dr. Graves spent months undermining you, and we allowed it to happen. We should have seen the signs. Yeah, Elena says. You should have. We'd like to make it right. Effective immediately, we're offering you the position of Director of Trauma Services. Full authority over the department, salary commensurate with the role. And we'll be implementing new oversight protocols to ensure nothing like this ever happens again. Elena blinks. You're offering me Graves' job. We're offering you the job you should have had from the beginning. For a moment, Elena doesn't know what to say. 6 months ago, this would have been everything she wanted. Recognition, respect, vindication. But now, standing here covered in ash and blood, it feels hollow. I need time to think about it, she says. Hollins nods. Of course. Take all the time you need. But Elena, we need leaders like you. People who do the right thing even when it costs them everything. Elena doesn't respond. She just turns and walks out, Cross following. They make it to the elevator before Cross speaks. You're not going to take it, are you? Elena presses the button for the ground floor. I don't know. Maybe. But not because they're offering it to me out of guilt. Then why? Because if I don't, someone like Graves will just take the spot again. And this whole thing starts over. The elevator doors open. They step out into the lobby, where the chaos has settled into something more manageable. Patients are stable. Fires are out. The building is still standing, barely. Elena sees Teresa standing near the triage area, coordinating with the remaining staff. She walks over. How's it looking? Teresa looks up, relief washing over her face. Manageable. We've got everyone accounted for. No more surprises. Good. Teresa hesitates. Elena, what you did tonight, you saved this hospital. People are calling you a hero. Elena shakes her head. I just did my job. No, you did more than that, and people need to know. Before Elena can respond, her phone buzzes. She pulls it out, expecting another threat, another message from the network. But it's not. It's a news alert. Local station. Breaking coverage of the attack on Red Ridge Military Medical Center. And there, on the screen, is a grainy photo of her pulling a patient from the wreckage. The caption reads, Unidentified hospital staff member hailed as hero in deadly attack. Elena stares at the screen. Unidentified. She almost laughs. After everything, she's still invisible. But maybe that's not such a bad thing. She pockets the phone and turns to Cross. Come on, let's get you back to bed before you collapse. Cross smirks. You first. They're halfway to the temporary triage tent when Garrett intercepts them, his face grim. We have a problem. Elena's stomach sinks. What now? We found something in Kane's possession, a hard drive, encrypted. Our tech team just cracked it. And? It's a list. Names, addresses, operational details, the entire network Vance built over the last 12 years. Elena waits. There are over 200 names on it. Doctors, nurses, hospital administrators, military personnel. Spread across 15 cities. Denver was just one node. They've been compromising military medical infrastructure across the entire country. Elena's blood runs cold. You're saying this wasn't just Red Ridge? This was never just Red Ridge. What happened here tonight was a test case. Vance wanted to see if his network could withstand exposure, if his people could execute under pressure. And? They failed, but that doesn't mean the others will. Garrett pulls out his tablet, swiping through files. We've identified active cells in San Antonio, Norfolk, San Diego, Fort Bragg, places with major military medical facilities. Each one has anywhere from 5 to 15 compromised staff members. Elena stares at the screen. The names blur together. So many people, so much corruption. We need your help, Garrett says. You know how they think, how they operate. You're the only one who can identify them before they activate. Elena looks at Cross, then at the hospital around her, broken, bloodied, but still standing. I'll do it, she says. But on one condition, when this is over, I want out completely. No more missions, no more Cipher. Garrett nods. Deal. Elena takes a breath. She thought she was done with this life. Thought she could bury Cipher and live quietly. She was wrong. A paramedic approaches, young woman with kind eyes. Ma'am, we need to check your leg. You're limping pretty badly. Elena waves her off. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're bleeding through your scrubs. Elena looks down. The woman's right. Blood is seeping through the fabric where the concrete slab caught her. She hadn't even noticed. Sit, the paramedic says, pointing to a folding chair. Now. Elena sits. The paramedic kneels, cutting away the torn fabric, examining the wound. It's deep, jagged, already starting to bruise purple and black. You need stitches, maybe an X-ray to rule out fracture. Later, Elena says. Now, the paramedic insists. You're no good to anyone if you can't walk. Elena doesn't argue. She's too tired. The paramedic works quickly, cleaning the wound, applying a temporary dressing. This'll hold for now, but you need to get to an ER as soon as possible. I'm in a hospital. A hospital that's half destroyed and overwhelmed with critical patients. You need to go somewhere else. Elena nods, knowing the woman is right, but not caring. Cross sits down beside her. You should listen to her. Since when do you follow medical advice? Since I almost died 3 times in the last 6 hours. He looks at her, his expression serious. You can't save everyone if you're dead, Elena. She knows he's right, but the thought of leaving even for a few hours feels wrong, like abandoning her post. Teresa appears, holding a tablet. Elena, I need you to look at something. Elena takes the tablet. It's a roster of the trauma staff. Half the names are crossed out, casualties from the explosion, people who evacuated, people who quit on the spot when they realized what was happening. We're down to skeleton crew, Teresa says, and with the 4th and 5th floors compromised, we're running at maybe 30% capacity. We need to make some hard calls about who stays and who transfers to other facilities. Elena scans the list, the names she recognizes, the people she's worked beside for 6 months, good nurses, dedicated doctors, all of them exhausted, traumatized, pushed to their breaking point. Transfer everyone who's non-critical, Elena says. Keep the ICU running for the patients who can't be moved. Shut down everything else until we can get structural clearance. Teresa nods, making notes. What about you? What about me? You're the highest-ranking trauma staff left standing. Graves is in custody. Dr. Patel is in surgery with a ruptured spleen. Dr. Kim evacuated with the burn unit. That leaves you. Elena stares at her. I'm not a doctor. You're the closest thing we have right now, and people are looking to you for leadership. Elena wants to say no. Wants to tell Teresa to find someone else, anyone else. But she can't. Because Teresa's right. There's no one else. Okay, Elena says, but I need you to do something for me. Name it. Get me a list of every staff member who's worked here for less than 2 years. Cross-reference it with the names Garrett's team pulled from Kane's hard drive. Anyone who matches gets flagged for immediate review. Teresa's eyes widen. You think there are more? I know there are, and I'm not letting them slip through. Teresa nods and hurries off, already pulling out her phone. Elena stands, testing her leg. It holds, barely. She limps toward the makeshift command center Garrett set up near the main entrance. Garrett sees her coming. You should be resting. I'll rest when this is over. She points to his tablet. Show me the list again. Garrett pulls up the file. Elena scans through the names, her eyes catching on familiar entries. Dr. Angela Price, oncology. Confirmed. Gerald Simmons, hospital maintenance. Confirmed. Richard Lowell, board member. Confirmed. But there are others. Names she doesn't recognize. Faces she's never seen. And then she sees it. A name that makes her blood freeze. Dr. Melissa Harding. Pediatrics. Hired 18 months ago. Previously stationed at Joint Base Lewis McChord, the same base where Vance served before he went rogue. Her, Elena says, pointing. Where is she right now? Garrett checks his radio log. Pediatric wing, 3rd floor, why? Because she's one of them. Elena is already moving, ignoring the pain in her leg. And the pediatric wing has been untouched all night, which means she's been waiting. Garrett follows, his hand on his sidearm. Waiting for what? For everyone to let their guard down. They take the stairs, Garrett calling for backup as they climb. The 3rd floor is quieter than the others, less damaged, almost peaceful. The pediatric wing is at the far end, separated from the main hospital by a set of double doors. Elena pushes through. The hallway is empty. Too empty. The nurse's station is abandoned. The lights are dimmed. It feels wrong. Garrett signals his team to spread out. Elena moves toward the patient rooms, checking each one. Empty. 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 Until she reaches the last room. The door is ajar. Elena pushes it open. Dr. Melissa Harding is inside, standing over a child's bed. The patient, a little girl, maybe 7 years old, is asleep. An IV running into her arm. Harding looks up when Elena enters. She doesn't look surprised, just resigned. I was wondering when you'd figure it out, Harding says. Elena's hand moves to the gun at her waist. Step away from the patient. Or what? You'll shoot me in front of a child? If I have to. Harding smiles. It's cold, empty. You won't. You're not like us. No, Elena agrees. I'm not. She raises the gun. Harding's hand moves to the IV line. You know what's in this bag? Potassium chloride. Enough to stop her heart in 30 seconds. You shoot me, my hand slips, she dies. Elena doesn't lower the gun. Then we're at an impasse. Not really. See, I don't care if I die, but you care if she does. Which means I win. Elena's mind races. She needs to defuse this, needs to talk Harding down, but every second she waits is another second Harding could act. Why her? Elena asks, stalling. She's just a kid. She's the daughter of a federal prosecutor, the one who's been building the case against Vance. Her death sends a message. No one is safe. Not even their children. Elena's stomach turns. You're going to murder a child to prove a point? I'm going to do what I was trained to do, same as you. No, Elena says. I was trained to save lives. You were trained to be a coward. Harding's expression darkens. Her hand tightens on the IV line, and Elena moves. She doesn't aim for Harding. She aims for the IV pole. One shot, clean. The pole crashes to the ground, the line yanking free from the child's arm. Harding lunges for the girl, but Elena is faster. She tackles Harding to the ground, the gun skittering across the floor. They grapple, Harding clawing at Elena's face, Elena driving her knee into Harding's ribs. Garrett bursts in, his weapon drawn. Don't move! Harding goes still. Elena climbs off her, breathing hard. Garrett's team moves in, cuffing Harding and hauling her to her feet. Elena turns to the child. She's awake now, crying, confused. Elena kneels beside the bed, her voice soft. It's okay. You're safe now. The girl stares at her, tears streaming down her face. I want my mom. We'll get her, I promise. Garrett steps beside Elena. That's all of them. Price, Simmons, Lowell, Kane, Hendricks, Harding, 6 operatives, all in custody. Elena nods, too exhausted to feel relief. But then Garrett's phone rings. He answers, listens, and his face goes pale. What? Elena asks. Garrett lowers the phone. That was the tech team. They found something else on Kane's hard drive. A 7th name, someone we missed. Who? Garrett shows her the screen. Elena's blood runs cold. The name on the screen is someone she knows, someone she trusted, someone who's been in the hospital all night. Teresa. Teresa. Elena stares at the name on the screen, her mind refusing to accept it. Teresa, who coordinated the triage. Teresa, who stayed calm when the building was falling apart. Teresa, who looked her in the eye 20 minutes ago and called her a hero. No, Elena says. That's wrong. Run it again. Garrett's expression is grim. We did, 3 times. The encryption on her file was deeper than the others. She's not just an operative, she's a handler. She's been running the entire Denver cell. Elena's stomach drops. Where is she now? Last I saw, she was heading toward the ICU. Said she needed to check on. Elena is already running. She burst through the stairwell door, taking the steps 3 at a time despite the screaming pain in her leg. Her mind is racing, replaying every interaction she's had with Teresa over the past 6 months. The way Teresa always seemed to know where she'd be. The way she smoothed over conflicts with Graves. The way she had access to everything. Schedules, patient records, security protocols. She wasn't just nursing coordinator. She was the architect. Elena hits the ICU floor and sprints down the hallway. Staff scatter out of her way. She reaches the unit and skids to a stop. The ICU is quiet. Too quiet. Most of the patients have been evacuated. Only the critical cases remain, hooked to ventilators and monitors, their lives measured in beeps and hisses. And standing at the central nursing station, calmly reviewing a chart, is Teresa. She looks up when Elena enters, smiles. Back already? I thought you'd be resting. Elena's hand moves to her waistband, but the gun is gone. She left it in the pediatric wing. She forces herself to breathe, to stay calm. Step away from the computer, Elena says. Teresa's smile doesn't waver. Why would I do that? Because I know who you are. For a moment, Teresa doesn't move. Then she sets down the chart, her movements slow and deliberate. I was wondering when you'd figure it out. Took you longer than I expected. You've been working with Vance from the beginning. Working for him, technically. Though after tonight, I suppose I'm unemployed. Teresa leans against the desk, her posture relaxed. You have to admire the irony. I've been standing right next to you for 6 months, watching you, guiding you, and you never suspected a thing. Elena's fists clench. You used me. I used everyone. That's the job. Teresa's eyes are cold now, the warmth completely gone. You think you're special because you were Cipher? You're not. You're just another asset, another tool. Then why keep me around? Why not just kill me when I showed up? Because you were useful. Graves wanted you gone, but I convinced him to let you stay. I knew eventually you'd lead us to Cross, and you did. Teresa tilts her head. Though I have to admit, watching you save his life was unexpected. Most people would have let him die. That's the difference between us. No, the difference is I'm realistic. You're sentimental. Teresa pushes off the desk. But sentiment doesn't win wars, it just gets people killed. You're right about one thing, Elena says quietly. I am sentimental, which means I'm giving you one chance to surrender. Teresa laughs. Or what? You'll arrest me? You don't have a weapon. You don't have backup. You're standing here alone, injured, exhausted, trying to threaten me with nothing. I don't need a weapon. Really? Because from where I'm standing, you need a lot more than bravado. Elena takes a step forward. The federal agents are 30 seconds behind me. The building is locked down. Every exit is covered. You have nowhere to go. I don't need to go anywhere. Teresa reaches into her pocket, pulls out a small device, a remote trigger. See, while you were busy playing hero, I was setting up insurance. There are 3 devices left in this building, one in the neonatal unit, one in the blood bank, and one right here in the ICU. I press this button, and everyone in this wing dies. Elena's blood runs cold. She looks at the patients around them. 8 people, all critical, all helpless. You're bluffing. Am I? Teresa's thumb hovers over the button. You want to test that theory? For a moment, they stare at each other. Elena's mind races, calculating distances, angles, response times. If she lunges, Teresa presses the button. If she backs off, Teresa escapes. There's no good option, so Elena does what she does best. She talks. You said you were realistic. That sentiment gets people killed, but you're wrong. You know why? Teresa's expression doesn't change, but her thumb stays where it is. Enlighten me. Because sentiment is what keeps people fighting when the odds are impossible. It's what made me drag 16 men through a war zone when logic said to leave them. It's what brought Cross back from the dead to save me tonight. It's what made every person in this hospital run toward the fire instead of away from it. Elena takes another step forward. You call it weakness. I call it strength. Strength doesn't stop a bomb. No, but it stops people like you. Elena's voice drops. You think you're in control because you have a trigger, but you're not. Because if you press that button, you die too. The agents are already here. They'll cut you down before you take 3 steps. And everything you've worked for, everything Vance built, ends with you bleeding out on this floor. Is that the legacy you want? Teresa's jaw tightens. You don't know what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. You're scared, not of dying, of failing, of being forgotten. That's why you stayed in the shadows for 12 years. That's why you're still here instead of running. You want to matter. I do matter. Not if you're dead. Teresa's hand trembles, just slightly. But Elena sees it. Put down the trigger, Elena says softly. Walk away. Live to fight another day. For a moment, Teresa seems to consider it. Her thumb moves away from the button. Then she smiles. Nice try. She presses the button. Nothing happens. Teresa's smile fades. She presses again. Nothing. Elena steps closer. The tech team found your devices 2 hours ago, disabled them while you were busy coordinating triage. You've been holding a dead trigger this entire time. Teresa's face goes white. She throws the trigger at Elena and runs. Elena dodges, sprinting after her. Teresa hits the stairwell door, shoving through, and Elena is right behind her. They're on the stairs now, Teresa going up, Elena following. There's nowhere to go, Elena shouts. Teresa doesn't respond. She just keeps climbing. 3rd floor, 4th, 5th. They reach the roof access. Teresa slams through the door, stumbling into the open air. Elena follows, her legs screaming in protest. They're back where this started. The roof. The wind. The city lights below. Teresa spins to face her, breathing hard. You think you've won? You haven't. This network is bigger than me. Bigger than Vance. You can't stop all of us. Maybe not, Elena says. But I can stop you. Teresa's hand moves to her waistband, pulling out a knife. Then stop me. She lunges. Elena sidesteps, grabbing Teresa's wrist and twisting. The knife falls, clattering across the roof. Teresa swings with her free hand, catching Elena in the jaw. Pain explodes across her face, but she doesn't let go. They grapple, trading blows. Teresa is trained, vicious, desperate. But Elena has fought better. She has fought worse. She drives her knee into Teresa's stomach. Teresa gasps, doubling over. Elena follows with an elbow to the back of the neck. Teresa drops to her knees. Elena stands over her, breathing hard. It's over. Teresa looks up, blood trickling from her split lip. You're wrong. It's never over. There will always be another Vance, another network, another war, and you'll keep fighting until it kills you. Maybe, Elena says, but at least I'll die knowing I did the right thing. Footsteps behind her. Garrett and his team fled onto the roof, weapons drawn. We got her, Garrett says, moving forward. His agents haul Teresa to her feet, cuffing her. Teresa looks at Elena one last time. You could have been one of us. You have the skills, the instincts, the will. You would have been perfect. I was never going to be one of you, Elena says quietly, because I actually care about the people I'm supposed to protect. The agents drag Teresa away. Elena watches her go, feeling nothing. No triumph, no satisfaction, just exhaustion. Garrett steps beside her. You okay? Ask me in a week. Fair enough. He pulls out his tablet. We've swept the entire hospital. No more devices, no more operatives. It's clean. What about the other cities? Teams are mobilizing as we speak. We're using the information from Kane's hard drive to identify and apprehend every member of the network. It'll take time, but we'll get them all. Elena nods. Good. There's something else. Garrett hesitates. The Pentagon is requesting a full debrief. They want to know everything about your history with Vance, about Cipher, about the mission that started this. Elena's stomach tightens. When? Whenever you're ready. But they're also offering you something. A position. Consultant. Helping us dismantle networks like this. You'd have full autonomy, decent pay, and you'd be saving lives. Elena looks out at the city. Denver at night, a sea of lights stretching to the mountains. Somewhere down there, people are sleeping. Living. Unaware that they were hours away from catastrophe. She thinks about the last 12 years, the quiet life she built, the invisibility she craved, and she realizes she's done hiding. I'll think about it, she says. Garrett nods. That's all I can ask. They walk off the roof together, back into the building. The chaos has settled now. The fires are out. The wounded are being cared for. The structure is holding. Elena makes her way back to the ground floor. Cross is waiting near the entrance, sitting in a wheelchair despite his protests. He sees her and grins. You look like hell. You're one to talk. He laughs, then winces, holding his side. Fair point. They're transferring me to Denver General in the morning. Better facilities, less exploded. Good. You need rest. So do you. He looks at her seriously. What are you going to do now? Elena considers the question. What is she going to do? Take the director position? Work with the federal government? Go back to being invisible? I don't know, she admits, but I'll figure it out. You always do. She squeezes his shoulder, then walks outside. The parking lot is still crowded with emergency vehicles, but it's quieter now, controlled. People are cleaning up, packing gear, preparing for the long recovery ahead. Elena finds a quiet corner and sits on the curb. Her leg throbs. Her head aches. Every muscle in her body is screaming for rest. But she did it. She stopped them. All of them. Her phone buzzes. She pulls it out, expecting another federal alert. But it's not. It's a text from an unknown number. You saved my daughter tonight. I can never repay you. But thank you. Federal Prosecutor James Hartley. Elena stares at the message. She thinks about the little girl in the pediatric wing, the fear in her eyes, the relief when it was over. That's why she does this. Not for glory, not for recognition, for moments like that. She pockets the phone and closes her eyes, letting herself breathe for the first time in hours. When she opens them, the sky is starting to lighten. Dawn. A new day. Margaret Hollins appears walking across the parking lot with purpose. She stops in front of Elena. I heard what happened. With Teresa. Elena nods. It's handled. I wanted to apologize. Again, we trusted her, gave her authority, and she used it to nearly destroy this hospital. You didn't know. We should have. Hollins sits down beside Elena, which is unusual enough that Elena actually looks at her. I've been running hospitals for 20 years. I thought I could spot a bad actor. But Teresa, she was perfect. too perfect. That's how they work. They blend in, become indispensable. And by the time you realize what's happening, it's too late. Hollins is quiet for a moment. Then she says, "The board met an hour ago, emergency session. We voted unanimously to offer you the Director of Trauma Services position, effective immediately. Full authority. No oversight from anyone who is connected to Graves or Teresa. You'll rebuild the department from the ground up. Your way." Elena looks at her. "And if I say no?" "Then we respect that. But I hope you don't. Because this hospital needs someone who actually gives a damn. Someone who will fight for the right reasons, and that's you." Elena thinks about it, about what it would mean, the responsibility, the scrutiny, the weight of every decision, but also the opportunity to build something better, to train the next generation, to make sure what happened here never happens again. "I'll take it," she says, "on two conditions. Name them." "First, we implement a vetting protocol for all new hires, background checks, psychological evaluations, references verified independently. No one gets through without multiple layers of approval." "Done." "And the second? We create a program for combat veterans transitioning to civilian medical work, training, support, mental health resources. I want this hospital to be a place where people like me can come home." Hollins extends her hand. "You have my word." Elena shakes it. The handshake is firm, binding. Hollins stands, brushing off her skirt. "I'll have the contracts drawn up by noon. In the meantime, get some rest. You've earned it." Elena watches her walk away, then pulls herself to her feet. Her leg protests, but it holds. She limps back toward the hospital entrance, where the first rays of sunlight are starting to hit the glass facade. Inside, the emergency department is still humming with activity. Patients being discharged, equipment being restocked, the night shift transitioning today. Elena moves through it all like a ghost, observing but not interfering. She finds Katie near the supply closet, restocking bandages with methodical precision. The young nurse looks up, startled. "Elena, I thought you'd gone home." "Not yet." Elena leans against the doorframe. "How are you holding up?" Katie sets down the box she's carrying. "Honestly, I don't know. I keep thinking about what could have happened if you hadn't been here, if you hadn't known what to do. You would have figured it out." "I don't think so. I froze when the explosion happened, just stood there while everyone else was running. You had to physically push me to get me moving." Elena nods. "That's normal. First crisis, your brain shuts down. It's a survival mechanism. How do you get past it? Training, repetition, exposure. You do it enough times, your body learns to move before your brain catches up." Elena straightens. "But you did fine. You got people out. You followed orders. You didn't panic when it mattered." Katie looks uncertain. "It didn't feel like enough." "It never does, but you're still here. That counts for something." Katie manages a small smile. "Thanks." Elena leaves her to finish restocking and makes her way to the locker room. It's empty now, the day shift not yet arrived. She pulls open her locker, looking at the contents. A change of clothes, her wallet, a photo tucked into the corner. 16 men in desert camouflage grinning at the camera like they're invincible. They weren't. Elena pulls the photo out, studying the faces. Some she remembers vividly. Others have faded to impressions. Cross is there, younger, leaner, standing in the back row. Vance is front and center, his smile confident and easy. She should hate him, part of her does. But mostly, she just feels sad. Sad that he chose greed over loyalty. Sad that he threw away everything they built. Sad that it took 12 years to bring him to justice. She tucks the photo back into the locker and closes the door. The past is done. She can't change it, can't fix it, can only learn from it. She changes into clean scrubs, borrowed from the staff locker. Her own are destroyed, and heads to the makeshift break room the hospital set up in a conference room. Coffee is brewing, weak and institutional, but it's hot. She pours a cup and sits. The room is quiet, peaceful. For the first time in what feels like years, she has a moment to just exist. The door opens. A man enters, tall and broad-shouldered, with graying hair and the kind of bearing that screams military. He's in civilian clothes, but the way he moves gives him away. He sees Elena and stops. "You're Cipher." It's not a question. Elena sets down her coffee. "That depends on who's asking." The man pulls out a badge. Department of Defense. Colonel Benjamin Shaw. I've been tracking Vance's network for 3 years. You did in one night what my team couldn't do in 36 months. I had help. You had determination. Shaw sits down across from her. I read your file, or what's left of it. Most of it's classified above my pay grade, but what I could access was impressive. Field medic, special operations, multiple citations, and then you just disappeared. I retired. You went into hiding, Shaw corrects. There's a difference. Elena doesn't respond. Shaw leans forward. I'm not here to drag you back into the field. I'm here to say thank you. What you did tonight saved lives. Probably saved the entire Western military medical infrastructure from being compromised. That matters. It's not over. There are still cells out there. And we'll get them, thanks to the intel you helped recover. Shaw slides a business card across the table. If you ever decide you want back in, give me a call. We could use someone like you. Elena looks at the card but doesn't pick it up. I'm done with that life. Are you? Shaw stands. Because from where I'm sitting, you just spent the last 12 hours proving otherwise. He leaves. Elena stares at the card for a long moment. Then she picks it up, reads the number, and tucks it into her pocket. Maybe she's not done. Maybe she never was. But that's a decision for another day. She finishes her coffee and heads back to the ICU. Most of the patients have stabilized. The ones who needed transfer are gone. The ones who remain are being monitored closely by a skeleton crew of nurses who look like they haven't slept in a week. Elena stops at Cross's old bed, now empty, the sheets stripped and ready for the next patient. She thinks about the moment she recognized him. The panic, the fear, the relief when she pulled him back from the edge. They saved each other, just like they always did. Her radio crackles. Garrett's voice. Elena, we need you in the administrative wing. There's someone here who wants to speak with you. Elena frowns. Who? Just come. You'll want to hear this. She makes her way to the administrative offices. The hallway is lined with federal agents, more than before. Something's happening. Garrett meets her at the conference room door. Before you go in, I need to give you a heads up. This is going to be uncomfortable. What's going on? Just brace yourself. He opens the door. Inside, sitting at the conference table with 2 federal marshals flanking him, is Marcus Vance. Elena stops in the doorway. Every instinct screams at her to leave, to refuse, to walk away. But she doesn't. She steps inside. Vance looks up. He's older than she remembers, grayer, harder, but his eyes are the same, calculating, cold, assessing. Cipher, he says. His voice is rough, damaged from years of smoking and shouting orders. Been a long time. Elena doesn't sit. What do you want? To talk. We have nothing to talk about. I disagree. Vance leans back in his chair, his cuffed hands resting on the table. You spent 12 years running from what happened in Condris, but you never got the full story, did you? I know enough. You know what they told you? That I sold out the mission, that I took money to betray my team, that I'm a traitor. Vance's expression doesn't change. But you don't know why. Elena's jaw tightens. I don't care why. You should. Because the people who paid me, they're still out there, still operating, and they're going to come for you eventually. Garrett steps forward. We've been over this, Vance. You give us names, locations, evidence, and we'll consider a reduced sentence. Otherwise what? You'll lock me up for life? I'm already dead. Cancer, stage 4, 6 months, maybe less. Vance looks at Elena. So I don't care about deals. I care about setting the record straight. Elena feels the ground shift beneath her. You're lying. Medical records are in the file. Check for yourself. Vance coughs, a wet, rattling sound. I took the money because I was desperate. My daughter was sick, needed treatment that the VA wouldn't cover. I thought I could take the payout, get her help, and walk away. But they owned me after that, kept demanding more intel, more access, more betrayals. And by the time I realized I couldn't get out, it was too late. Elena stares at him. She wants to call him a liar, wants to believe that he's just another monster trying to justify his actions. But a part of her, the part that knew him before he fell, recognizes the truth in his words. Your daughter, she says quietly. Sarah. She's in this hospital. Vance nods. They were using her as leverage, keeping her sick, keeping me compliant. When I tried to get out, they poisoned her, made it look like a relapse. His voice cracks. I've spent 12 years trying to protect her, and all I did was make it worse. Elena thinks about the woman in the ICU bed, the one she saved, the one who was being used as a pawn in a game she didn't even know existed. If you're telling the truth, Elena says, then help us. Give us everything, names, locations, financial records. Destroy the network you helped build. I already did. Everything I know is in the files Agent Garrett has. Vance looks at her. But there's one more thing. Something I never told anyone. What? The mission in Candris, the ambush. It wasn't random. Someone in our chain of command set us up. Someone high enough to access classified mission parameters. Someone who wanted that operation to fail. Elena goes cold. Who? I don't know. They worked through intermediaries, encrypted communications, ghost accounts, but they're still out there, still in the military, still pulling strings. Vance leans forward. So when you think you've won, when you think the network is dismantled and justice is served, remember this. There's always someone higher up the chain. Always someone you can't see. The marshals stand, pulling Vance to his feet. He doesn't resist. As they lead him toward the door, he looks back at Elena one last time. I'm sorry for what I did, for what it cost you. But I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just asking you to finish what I couldn't. The door closes behind him. Elena stands alone in the conference room, her mind racing. Everything she thought she knew about Candris is shifting. If Vance is telling the truth, if someone in the military set them up, then the conspiracy goes deeper than she ever imagined. Garrett enters. You okay? No. Elena looks at him. We need to find out who ordered that mission, who had access to the operational details, who stood to gain from it failing. We're already on it, but it's going to take time. The records from that period are buried deep. A lot of them are classified above my clearance. Then get someone with higher clearance. I'm trying, but the Pentagon isn't exactly eager to cooperate. They don't want to believe there's a mole in their ranks. Elena's hands ball into fists. Then make them believe. Use what happened here. Use the evidence. Force them to look. Garrett nods. I will. But in the meantime, you need to be careful. If Vance is right, if there is someone higher up, they're going to come after you. Let them try. Over the next 3 days, the hospital slowly comes back to life. Structural engineers clear the third floor for limited use. The ICU reopens at 50% capacity. Patients start returning from other facilities, trickling in one by one. Elena works around the clock, rebuilding the trauma department from scratch. She interviews candidates for new positions, running background checks so thorough that some applicants withdraw rather than submit to the scrutiny. She doesn't care. Better to be understaffed than compromised. She implements new protocols. Mandatory psych evaluations for all trauma staff. Quarterly security reviews. Randomized audits of patient care records. The measures are invasive, uncomfortable, but necessary. Some of the older staff push back. They call her paranoid, overreactive, a tyrant. She doesn't budge. On the 4th day, she holds a department meeting. The conference room is packed. Nurses, residents, techs, everyone who survived the attack and chose to stay. Elena stands at the front, looking at their faces. Exhausted, traumatized, but still here. I know the last few days have been hard, she begins. I know some of you don't agree with the changes I'm making, and I know some of you are scared that it's going to happen again. Silence. I can't promise it won't. I can't promise we'll catch every threat, stop every attack, save every life. What I can promise is this. I will do everything in my power to make sure we're ready, to make sure we learn from what happened, to make sure the people who died here didn't die for nothing. A hand goes up in the back. One of the older nurses, a woman named Diane, who's been at Red Ridge for 15 years. What about you? Are you staying? Elena meets her eyes. Yes, I'm staying, and I'm not going anywhere until this department is what it should be. Another hand, a resident. What if people don't want to work under your leadership? What if they think you're too intense? Then they can leave. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to save lives. If you can't handle that, there are plenty of other hospitals that will take you. The room is silent for a moment. Then someone starts clapping. Katie. Others join in. Not everyone, but enough. Elena nods. Get back to work. They file out, leaving Elena alone in the conference room. She sits down, her leg throbbing. The adrenaline is wearing off, leaving her hollow and exhausted. She wants to sleep, wants to stop thinking, wants to forget, but she can't, because Vance's words are still echoing in her head. There's always someone higher up the chain. Her phone rings. Unknown number. She almost doesn't answer, but something makes her pick up. Elena Ward. A woman's voice. Older, refined, familiar. Miss Ward, my name is Admiral Rebecca Stanton. I'm calling on behalf of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Elena sits up straighter. What can I do for you, Admiral? You can accept my apology. What happened at Red Ridge should never have occurred. The fact that a hostile network was able to penetrate a military medical facility is unacceptable. We failed you. Yes, you did. Stanton doesn't flinch. Which is why I'm calling. We want to make it right. We're launching a task force to investigate military medical security across all branches. We want you to lead it. Elena blinks. Me? You have the experience, the knowledge, the instincts, and more importantly, you have the trust of the people on the ground. That matters. I just took a position here as director. I know. And we're not asking you to give it up. This would be a dual role. You'd split your time between Red Ridge and Washington, full security clearance, full autonomy, and the resources to actually make a difference. Elena thinks about it, about what it would mean: more travel, more responsibility, more exposure, but also more power, more reach, more ability to prevent what happened here from happening elsewhere. I need time to think about it. Take all the time you need. But Elena, we need you. The country needs you. Stanton hangs up. Elena sits in the empty conference room, staring at her phone. She thought she was done with the military, thought she could build a quiet life, help people one patient at a time, and fade into obscurity. But the world has other plans. On the 7th day, the hospital holds a memorial service for the 12 who died. Families gather in this chapel, grief thick and suffocating. Elena stands at the back, watching. She doesn't speak, doesn't offer condolences. She's not good at that kind of thing. But when the service ends and families start to leave, several of them stop to thank her. Some shake her hand, some hug her. One elderly woman, whose son died in the explosion, just looks at her and nods. It's enough. Elena stays until everyone is gone, then walks to the front of the chapel. The memorial photos are displayed on easels. 12 faces, 12 stories, 12 lives cut short. She studies each one, commits them to memory. I won't forget you, she whispers. Outside, the sun is setting. The hospital is quiet. Healing. Elena walks to her car, parked in a corner of the lot that wasn't destroyed. She gets in, sits behind the wheel, and just breathes. Her phone buzzes. A text from Cross. They're discharging me tomorrow. Want to grab dinner? Somewhere that doesn't smell like antiseptic? Elena smiles. She types back. Yeah. I'll pick you up at 6. She starts the car and drives home, a small apartment she rents on the outskirts of Denver. It's sparse, functional. Not much more than a place to sleep. She unlocks the door, tosses her keys on the counter, and collapses on the couch. For the first time in a week, she lets herself stop, and the exhaustion hits her like a freight train. She closes her eyes, intending to rest for just a few minutes. When she opens them, it's morning. Sunlight is streaming through the window. Her phone is buzzing on the coffee table. She grabs it. 15 missed calls, 30 texts, all from Garrett. She calls him back. Where the hell have you been? He demands. Sleeping. What's wrong? We found him. The mole. The one Vance was talking about. Elena sits up. Who? Major General Richard Caldwell, Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations. He's been in the Pentagon for 20 years. Elena's blood runs cold. Caldwell. She knows that name. He was one of the officers who signed off on the Condris mission. Are you sure? We traced financial records, encrypted communications, shell accounts. It's him. And he's been running networks like Vance's for over a decade. Where is he now? In custody. We picked him up 2 hours ago. But Elena, he's not talking. Won't say a word without his lawyer. And his lawyer is already screaming about unlawful arrest and lack of evidence. Elena stands, already moving. I'm coming to D.C. I was hoping you'd say that. She packs a bag, books a flight, and is at the airport within an hour. The plane is delayed, but she doesn't care. She uses the time to review everything Garrett sent her. The evidence is damning: financial transfers, encrypted messages, meeting logs. Caldwell orchestrated the Condris ambush to cover up a black-budget operation that went sideways. 16 men died to protect his career. Elena reads every word, memorizes every detail. When the plane lands in Washington, Garrett is waiting. He's at Fort McNair, Garrett says as they drive. Military detention, high security. We're keeping him isolated until the tribunal. I want to see him. That's why I brought you. They arrive at the detention facility 20 minutes later. Garrett gets them through security, and they're escorted to a holding cell deep in the building. Major General Richard Caldwell is sitting on a bench, hands cuffed, looking every bit the distinguished officer. He looks up when Elena enters, and his expression doesn't change. I don't know you. No, Elena says, but I know you. I was at Condris. I survived the ambush you ordered. Something flickers in Caldwell's eyes. I didn't order any ambush. You set us up, leaked the mission parameters to hostile forces, sacrificed 16 men to cover your own mistakes. That's a lie. Elena steps closer. Then explain the financial records, the encrypted communications, the shell accounts transferring money from the same people who paid Vance. Caldwell's jaw tightens. I want my lawyer. You can have your lawyer. But first, you're going to answer one question. Elena leans in. Why? Why sacrifice your own people? For a long moment, Caldwell says nothing. Then he laughs. It's a bitter, hollow sound. You want to know why? Because I was following orders. Orders from people so far above my pay grade that I couldn't even see them. They wanted that operation to fail, wanted the target eliminated along with anyone who knew about it. And I was the one who had to make it happen. Elena's stomach turns. Who gave the orders? I don't know. I never knew. They worked through cutouts, dead drops, encrypted channels. But they're still out there, still pulling strings. And if you think arresting me stops them, you're deluding yourself. Garrett steps forward. Give us names, locations, anything. Caldwell shakes his head. I can't give you what I don't have. But I'll tell you this. If you keep digging, they'll come for you, they'll destroy you, they'll erase you, and no one will ever know you existed. The guards escort Caldwell out. Elena stands in the empty room, her hands shaking. Garrett looks at her. What do you want to do? Elena takes a breath. Then she says, I want to burn it all down. Every network, every conspiracy, every person who thinks they can sacrifice lives and get away with it. That's going to take time. Resources, political will. Then we get them, whatever it takes. Garrett nods. Okay, but you need to understand this isn't just about Vance anymore. This is about taking on some of the most powerful people in the country. They're not going to go quietly. Good, Elena says. Neither am I. Over the next 3 months, Elena becomes a ghost again. But this time, she's not hiding. She's hunting. She works with Garrett's team, tracking down every lead, every name, every connection. They dismantle cells in San Antonio, Norfolk, San Diego. They arrest doctors, nurses, contractors, administrators. The network is vast, but they're chipping away at it piece by piece. And Elena is at the center of it all. She flies between cities, conducting interviews, reviewing evidence, training local teams to recognize the signs of infiltration. She barely sleeps, barely eats. She's running on fumes and sheer determination. But she's winning. By the end of the 4th month, they've dismantled 70% of the network. The remaining cells are scrambling, trying to cover their tracks, but it's too late. The noose is tightening, and then Elena gets a call. Admiral Stanton. We need to meet, in person. Elena flies to Washington. Stanton meets her at a secure facility outside the city. They sit in a windowless room, just the two of them. You've done remarkable work, Stanton says. More than we could have hoped for. But there's a problem. What problem? The people at the top, the ones Caldwell mentioned, we've identified some of them. And they're pushing back, hard. They're using political connections, media influence, legal threats. They're trying to shut down the investigation. Elena's jaw tightens. Can they? Maybe, if we don't move fast. Stanton slides a file across the table. This contains everything we've gathered on the top-tier operatives. Names, positions, evidence. But it's not enough to prosecute. Not yet. We need someone on the inside. Someone they don't see coming. Elena opens the file, scans the names. Senators, generals, CEOs, people with power and resources and reach. You want me to go undercover. I want you to finish what you started. You've taken down the foot soldiers. Now it's time to take down the generals. Elena closes the file. How long? 6 months? Maybe a year? We'll set you up with a new identity, a new position, access to the inner circle. You'll gather evidence, build the case, and when we're ready, we'll move. And if they figure out who I am, then you'll be dead before we can extract you. Stanton's expression is hard. I won't lie to you, Elena. This is the most dangerous thing you'll ever do, but it's also the most important. These people have been operating in the shadows for decades. If we don't stop them now, they never will be. Elena thinks about the 12 who died at Red Ridge, the 16 who died at Condris, all the lives lost because powerful people decided they were expendable. I'll do it, she says. Stanton nods. I thought you might. 2 weeks later, Elena Ward ceases to exist. In her place is Dr. Sarah Bennington, a trauma surgeon with an impeccable record and connections in all the right places. She's hired by a private military contractor with ties to the network. She moves through their world with ease, charming, competent, invisible. And she's gathering everything, every meeting, every conversation, every slip of the tongue. It takes 8 months. 8 months of living a lie. 8 months of smiling at people she wants to destroy. 8 months of playing the role. But when it's done, she has enough. Enough to bring down senators, enough to dismantle the conspiracy, enough to finally get justice. The arrests happen simultaneously, coordinated raids across 12 cities, federal agents moving in like a tidal wave. By the time the sun rises, 43 people are in custody. The network is shattered, and Elena is standing in the middle of it all, watching the world she helped dismantle burn. Admiral Stanton finds her on the steps of the Pentagon, looking out at the city. It's done, Stanton says. Yeah, Elena replies. It's done. What are you going to do now? Elena thinks about it, about the life she left behind, the hospital, the work, the people. I'm going home, she says. 3 days later, Elena walks back into Red Ridge Military Medical Center. The staff who recognize her stop and stare. Word is spread about what she did, where she's been, who she really is. She's not invisible anymore. Margaret Hollins meets her at the entrance. Welcome back. Elena nods. Thanks. Your office is still here. We kept it ready. Hollins pauses. But I have to ask, are you staying, or is this just a visit? Elena looks at the hospital, at the people moving through it, at the lives being saved every minute. I'm staying, she says, for good this time. Over the next year, Elena rebuilds. Not just the trauma department, herself. She trains a new generation of medics, teaching them not just the skills, but the mindset. She implements the veteran transition program she promised, bringing in former soldiers and giving them a path forward. She builds something that lasts. And slowly, the nightmares fade. Not completely. They never do. But enough that she can sleep through the night. Enough that she can look in the mirror without seeing Cipher staring back. She's Elena Ward now. Fully. Completely. And she's at peace with that. One evening, 2 years after the attack, she's finishing paperwork when there's a knock on her door. Come in. Cross enters, looking healthier than she's seen him in years. He's gained weight, lost the hollow look in his eyes. He's healing. Heard you turned down the Pentagon job, he says. 3rd time they've asked. 3rd time I've said no. Why? Elena sets down her pen. Because this is where I belong, helping people, training the next generation, making sure what happened here never happens again. Cross nods. Good. The world needs more people like you. The world needs more people who give a damn. I'm just one of them. He smiles. You always were terrible at taking compliments. They talk for a while about the hospital, the program, the lives they've saved. It's easy. Comfortable. Like old times. When he leaves, Elena sits alone in her office looking at the framed photo on her desk. 16 men. All of them gone now. But not forgotten. Never forgotten. She stands, turns off the lights, and walks out of the hospital into the cool Denver night. Tomorrow, she'll do it all again. Save lives. Train staff. Fight the good fight. But tonight, she's just Elena. And that's enough. She climbs into her car and drives home, the city lights blurring past. When she gets there, she doesn't collapse on the couch. She makes dinner. She reads a book. She lives. Because that's what survivors do. They keep going. They keep fighting. They keep proving that the quiet ones, the overlooked ones, the ones everyone underestimated, are the most dangerous of all. Not because they're violent, but because they refuse to give up. And Elena Ward will never give up. Not on her patients. Not on her team. Not on herself. She is a healer, a fighter, a leader. She is Cipher, and she is home.